Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Dr. Kate Boyd, and today I'm going to talk about Dohnány's exercise number 22 from his book Essential Finger Exercises. This exercise is an arpeggio exercise. When we first learn arpeggios at the piano, there are standard fingerings for white key arpeggios and then different fingerings for black key arpeggios. For black key arpeggios, the fingerings that are usually used are 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. So for example, in D flat, I would start on 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. Left hand, I would start on 2. That allows you to put your thumb on the white key. That's why we learn it that way. And so then you practice it. So that's the first step, really getting comfortable with arpeggios with the standard arpeggio fingering for the white keys and for the black keys. You can find this fingering in a scale book such as the Brown Book of Scales or the Alfred scale book, and I'll put links to those in the description. Those are my two favorite scale books. You can also look it up on the internet. I'm sure you can find standard arpeggio fingerings. This exercise is helpful for after you've already gotten comfortable playing your arpeggios with standard arpeggio fingering, with different fingerings on the black keys and the white keys. Because what this exercise does is it puts the thumb always on the first note of the arpeggio. So you're always playing the same fingering regardless of the key. The reason it's helpful to practice arpeggios with the thumb on black keys as well as white keys is because when you encounter arpeggios in classical repertoire, they're not always going to lie conveniently like you learned in your exercise book where you're able to play them with black key or white key fingering. Sometimes you're just going along and you see an arpeggio and you just have no choice, but you have to play it with thumb on black notes. So this arpeggio exercise is designed to help you gain comfort with arpeggios in all keys in various different finger combinations. The way that this exercise is structured is it starts with a major arpeggio, then minor, then you have an ascending diminished 7th chord. Then coming down, you lower the third note of that ascending diminished 7th chord by a half step, and that turns it into a dominant 7th chord. And then you go to your next key chromatically up. This pattern of major, minor, diminished, dominant to there. It sounds like this when I play it. Major, minor, diminished, dominant to the new key. Major and minor, and now diminish to the new key. That's how it works. He goes chromatically up the keyboard. Here's how I recommend practicing this exercise. First of all, you're going to want to memorize the pattern. Get comfortable with this idea that going up with a diminished 7th, you can then change one note and turn that into a dominant chord and come back there. So you could even practice just all the different keys and then coming down, etc. Getting comfortable with that transition between the diminished 7th and the dominant 7th will help you in memorizing the pattern. In terms of the technique of this exercise, it's not super comfortable to play your thumb on a black key. That's why we don't teach that when you first learn arpeggios, because the thumb is short and the black keys are shorter than the white keys, and so to play the thumb, you have to move your arm in to play it. So what you want to focus on is playing the thumb and then keeping your fingers aligned and also doing some lateral movement in and out of the keys. So I'm going in with my arm to play the thumb, then I'm pulling out a little bit to play 2 and 3, and then I go to the thumb here. So there's a little bit of this going on as I play, where the hand moves in and out as I play my thumbs. What's really important about this exercise as well is to keep your fingers aligned with the keys. So you want to avoid pivoting and twisting around the finger before the thumb. You want to tuck your thumb and then close your hand and then open your hand when you get to the thumb, right? So like that motion instead of twisting. The reason we don't want to twist, that doesn't work because at a slow tempo you can twist all you want, but then at a faster tempo it's extremely inefficient and you will just have great difficulty playing your arpeggios quickly because of all this extra motion that arises when you twist. So, right, and then it'll cause accuracy problems and so forth. So really practicing when you're on your third finger, tucking the thumb, making the hand small, closing the hand, and then move your arm to the right, and then open your hand when you get to the thumb. The other thing about this exercise, I always practice this and assign it in 4 octaves. It's written in 2 octaves, but I always assign it in 4 octaves. So you go all the way. And as you go, that really spans a lot of the keyboard. And so you can start here and lean to the left. Be aware of the fact that your body is leaning a little bit to the left and your weight is shifted to your left foot. And then as you go to the right, your weight is going to shift to your right foot and you're going to lean to the right. And your arms are actually moving back and forth this way as you play. Okay, instead of like doing that and then that. So you don't want to feel your arms totally cross over your body that way. You want to actually lean and be in front of the part of the keyboard you're playing in front of and have mobility in the arms from the shoulders. I have 3 more practice tips for you for this exercise. The first one is make sure that you're using the correct fingering in the left hand. In the left hand, for the arpeggios, you should be using 4 and not 3. The reason that you want to use 4 is because it's sitting right there. And a lot of times people learn their arpeggios with 3 because the 3 just feels like a stronger finger and it's kind of intuitively what people do. And then if it doesn't get corrected, it becomes a habit. The reason that you don't want 3 is because you can see here, my hand is not aligned when I'm playing that. Whereas if I do this, this aligns my hand. Okay, so make sure that you're using 4 in the left hand. Unless it's something like D major, right? That's got to be 3 because it's a larger interval to a black key. So, but D minor is to 4 in the left hand. So make sure your fingering is correct on the major and the minor 4-note arpeggios. The second thing I want to say is that if you're not used to this pattern, you're going to need to practice it hands separately for quite a while. And the reason is because the hands move at different times. So I'll show you what I mean. Here I am in C major. First 3 notes, both hands are in the same place. Then the right hand has to move, but the left hand doesn't because it's still in the same hand position. Now the left hand finds a new hand position. So it's kind of like one hand is shifting, then the other hand shifting, one hand shifting, the other hand shifting. And if this is all new to you and you're getting comfortable with the 7th patterns and playing the thumb on the black key, that can all be a bit much. And so practicing it hands separately, like for a long time, you could play it for like 6 months or a year and only ever play it hands separate. And then after you get super comfortable with it, put it hands together. And then the third suggestion is to make sure you're really doing it slowly and that your beat is consistent. And so what you want to do is, he's written triplets and then 16th notes. And so we want it to really be that rhythm. So triplet, 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 right? And now the minor. Diminished. Dominant. And my final tip to you about how to practice this is kind of hard to put into words, but when I am playing these arpeggios, I feel that my arms are light. I feel that my weight is moving horizontally and I'm not pushing into the keys. That's really important in order to travel all of this distance up and down the keyboard, to have a feeling that my fingers, I'm just throwing them into the keys, but I'm not pushing them into the keys. So I hope that way of describing it is helpful to you as you practice this exercise. I'm going to demonstrate a playthrough of this entire exercise because I think it can really be helpful to just see and hear how I do it after I've been just explaining it this whole time. In my next video, I'm going to talk about exercise number 24, which is about solid 4-note chords. I'll see you in the next video, and happy practicing.